Alright, guys. Welcome back to the Mutant XPerience. Sorry about the stream stopping for a little bit there. OBS is being a little buggy. But for those of you who are just joining us, I am Mutant XP, and this is the Mutant XPerience, episode 12, with my special guest, Fightcade Third Strike player extraordinaire, AC Slayer. And so, AC, during the last segment, we got a little history,
Yeah.
your background in Third Strike. And so we kind of left off by talking about your transition to online
Mhm.
Third Strike. Now, before we talk a little bit about some of the things that you're trying to do for the online community, um, I wanted to ask some specific questions about, that transition.
Mhm.
Um, what are some of the things that you found most difficult when it came to, kind of playing Third Strike online? Because I know you had said in the previous segment that when you
Mhm.
first tried it, it was not an enjoyable experience for you. I'm
No.
sure everyone remembers the famous Rennick video,
Oh
and I think
God.
it's probably one of the top five Third Strike videos of all time.
Yeah.
you know, like it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so because you said that you didn't really particularly enjoy it very much.
Mm-mm.
Um, so what did you do? I mean, like, how did you kind of, you know, kind of,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
All right. All right. Well, speaking of Rennick, I mean, he's got like a very specific type of humor that I really like. He's like sarcastic and angry humor. It's
Mhm.
it's really funny. I love that video. Like how he shows him like literally teleporting in different parts of his room to
Yeah.
emphasize like what lag does,
Uh-huh.
basically. Yeah, so let me just talk about that transition. I mean,
Okay.
obviously, it goes without saying that, when you're playing on offline, you basically have as close to, I mean, the perfect experience of Third Strike, right? As you can get. But the issue was, it was a stark contrast for me because I tried Marvel 1 on GGPO first, and non CPS3 games that were emulated for some reason just have less lag. So you can actually have, like, as long as you have a decent ping with somebody, the experience online, just playing somebody on, the Marvel channel, it wasn't that bad. But once I went to the third strike room, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great. Marvel seems to run just fine. I'm like super excited. I play my first game, like I don't know that ping like is that important. I like the first guy I played, I had like 180 ping with him. I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. 180 milliseconds, whatever. I play him and like I think he was using like Denjin Ryu. And I don't know, I think I picked Ken SA3 and the entire time I couldn't parry a single fireball. I would jump and I would land like way quicker. I was like, what is going on? Like I lost that game. Like and this
Uh-huh.
guy didn't even know how to play. He was just mashing. Like I
Uh-huh.
lost. And I literally put down my stick and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm never playing this shit again. This is stupid. And I actually got BM'd that game. That guy was calling me a scrub. And like honestly, it was just yeah, it was a really really funny memory. Um, it wasn't until later on that I realized that like you should challenge somebody like ideally with lower ping, uh, turning off downloads, all these different things that like minor things I did to improve my experience. That helped a lot. And obviously, I think the biggest factor that allowed me to sort of stick with the online community was I met some really good people.
Mm.
In fact, one of my closest friends, I met like today, like right now, like I met through GGPO. His name back then was called Lunamaster, and we've been friends for like 8 years. And actually, just last year, I flew out to visit him, and we met, and it was great. And
Oh.
so you can basically meet like basically really really genuine people
Uh-huh.
from this community. So that made it easy for me to stick with the online community, essentially.
Now that sounds kind of surprising because like you randomly log into the Third Strike lobby on Fightcade,
Yeah.
and some of the what's a good word to use? Some of the vitriol and
Yeah. Mhm.
and
Yeah.
rhetoric is quite
Yes.
colorful.
It is.
When
It
you
is. It
log in.
is. It's completely unmoderated, unfiltered, like bullshit. I guess that you
Yeah.
read,
Uh huh.
and it's basically just what happens when you have you know, I guess no policing of it. Because in the arcade, right? Think about it. In the arcade, like no one's really that rude, you know. I mean, the worst scenario I ever had was Maddox Chin. Like he tried to fight me because I taunted him at the end of the game, and he
Whoa,
at
where was
FFA.
this?
It was at FFA. Like one time, I forgot. Like he was playing. It was a Ken v Ken. I beat him both rounds, and I like taunted at the end of the round, not during the round, at the end of the round, and he got up at the end of the game. You know how in FFA um there's kind of like a divider, like there's two rows essentially, and the arcades are back to back. So he literally had to walk all the way to the entrance, then all the way around the arcades to the other side of the machine, and he like taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Yo, are you the one who taunted me?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, dude, it's just a game. I'm sorry. Like, I'm really sorry." He's like, "Yo, we want to go outside and settle this." I'm like, "No, I don't really want to go outside." I was in the middle of a game. I was already playing the next guy, right? And then I like he's like, "No." And then finally, I don't know if you know who Ray Ramos is.
Yeah, I know who Ray Ramos is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Ray Ramos, like he's pretty cool with me. He comes in, he's like, "Yo, man, Nat, this guy's cool. You know, you guys hug it out." So Ray Ramos came in, sort of saved the day. Now, let me tell you, Maddox Chin is like a pretty tall, big Asian guy.
Oh, I know Matt. Yeah,
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 he's
Matt, right? Like
huge.
he's huge, right? And he
He's
has a
like the
brother.
biggest Asian guy I know. Like I've ever met.
Yeah,
I can't think of any other Asian man
yeah.
I've
And,
ever met. Yeah.
I remember his brother Eric Action was the Black Yun.
Yeah,
He's
and he was like the skinniest
yeah,
Asian
skinniest
kid.
guy. Yeah. Smallest guy. So Maddox Shin basically threatened to kill me essentially, and Ray Ramos came and saved the day. Like I'm not tall. I'm like 5'7". You know my build, so I'm just like, okay, you know, whatever. So that's like the only experience you get when you piss somebody off, right? Like
Yeah,
offline that I've experienced. I mean, of course there's some people that act tough, but usually like it's just about the game. Like they
yeah,
don't care, you know.
yeah.
Um,
So
but
basically, for those people who've never been to Family Fun, basically, in its heyday, uh, number one, Family, the Third Strike machines, they were head to head, but they were American cabinet head to heads,
yeah.
and we played mostly on American sticks until I don't know, maybe 2007, 2008.
Yeah, they had some
Um,
Japanese cabinets at the very end of the
but no one used them for the Ran Bats for
yeah,
some reason. Yeah,
yeah. They always use the front one, like
yeah.
the one right next to the
That was the big boy machine,
yeah, big
right?
boys machine. Yeah, yeah,
You had to
yeah.
earn the right to play on that machine.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like I would start like at the cabinet next to it, next to the
Uh-huh.
one in the front, and then slowly work my way up to the front one. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
to this day, I think the only badge of honor I've ever earned at Family Fun was after Evo 2006 when I qualified in Evo West Coast. The next time I went to Family, Pyro came up to me and he was like, "Dude, let's do a first to five." And I
Wow.
was like,
Yeah,
"Fuck, like
yeah.
man,
You
like I
know,
think he beat me like 5-3, but like he was
that's
like,
pretty
yeah, man,
good. I mean,
this,
that was when Pyro was at his peak, essentially. Like
yeah,
Michael Fawson, yeah,
yeah."
he was notoriously known for like cutting people though, like cutting in line.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
I mean, you know
he
what?
always did
Look, all
that.
right, everyone has cut, at some point in their arcade career.
Yeah,
Okay, like
yeah,
even you, AC. I know, like even if it's like a innocent, like that guy hasn't been back in a while. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that you're not next. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? You know
yeah,
you're not
yeah,
next. You know you've got at least three other players
yeah,
that are ahead of you, but you don't see them anywhere.
yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
but Pyro was pretty bad at that.
Yeah. So we got some funny comments right now. Shotokan says, "Dude, when I went to FFA back in like 2005, I remember some Mexican Makoto player telling me to stop playing and wasting people's time." And it pissed off. I
Uh,
Mexican Makoto player.
Dude, I don't doubt it, man. Because
Yeah.
in family, it was serious business.
Yeah.
You came to family, and if you played Third Strike,
Hmm.
you played to get better. And
Hmm.
if that wasn't your goal, then you were gonna get shit for it.
Yeah.
And if people thought that you were, I mean, I'm not excusing obviously
Hmm.
this Mexican Makoto player, which I think I think I know who Colin is talking about,
Yeah.
but I don't remember his name or his
Hmm.
handle.
Hmm.
But yeah, like that was just the atmosphere, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And FFA. If you
yeah.
played Third
But
Strike, yeah.
I think the original question, like going back to it, was
Just how did you adjust, right? How did
yeah,
you?
exactly. So basically, the type of shit that would never fly offline would fly
Mm,
online. So essentially, you develop like this thick skin,
mm,
online. Just don't read the shit that you read. Like, don't read the toxicity,
mm.
and just try to play the game. Um, and if you can get past that, and consider the fact that there's no offline scene, you basically, in a way, happily settle for it.
But in terms of like technically, like mechanically, the game, like to be completely honest, like the reason why I don't play Fightcade on
Mhm.
Fightcade, and I know Cammy's gonna give me shit for this, is because when I play it, it just doesn't look and run right. And
Mhm.
I know, and I completely admit this. I know that it's probably because my settings aren't, like you said, right, aren't optimal. And a part of me is just kind of lazy. I don't want to have to kind of, I don't
Yeah,
want to have to dig through like,
yeah,
things and do like 10 things to get the experience as close as as
yeah.
it could be. And I think I don't want to speak for anyone else, but like that's kind of my the reason why I don't play on Fightcade is because I just can't.
And
I don't have the patience to kind of go through my computer and go, okay, I got to deal with hardware stuff, I got to deal with software stuff, and
mhm.
so like just technically like specifics wise, like specifications wise, I mean, is there anything that you did like specifically to kind of help make Third Strike look and run as
Yeah,
good as
back
possible?
yeah, back then I refused to upgrade from Windows XP to Windows 7 because I didn't want
Yeah.
Windows Aero to like yeah, I did all sorts of things. Like, oh my God, like whatever you research, I mean, like I have this great link, I still have it, and
Uh-huh.
just teaches you how to like optimize it. But I feel like these things like make very little
Mm.
improvements in terms of the actual delay you experience with you and your opponent. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a bad ping with somebody, it's never
Mm-hmm.
going to be good, no
Yeah.
matter
Right.
what
Yeah.
you do internally on the local
Yeah.
side. And I guess to sort of put some closure on this topic, I feel like in your situation, you do have like your friends that come over to your place to play. You do have, I guess, a better option. Like, you play online edition, right? So I feel like online edition runs like as close to arcade perfect as it could compared to Fightcade. So I don't blame you for not playing Fightcade at all. It's just, I don't have Xbox Live, so I can't use that as an option. I don't have a CRT.
Mm-hmm.
It's just way more convenient for me. So I'm on that boat.
So let's kind of transition into some of the things that
Mhm.
you're trying to do with the online scene because obviously um, when I think about the sheer number of people who are playing not just Third Strike but all the old school games. I mean they're all online, right? Right, AC. I mean it's all online, and so just recently, you and H Rove and Kazi started a online Ranbat
Yeah,
for Fightcade Third Strike players. So tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit about that and what you're trying to do with that project.
sure, 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 definitely. Okay, well, we basically have two programs running at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Every Sunday, we run kind of like a random, non-predetermined tournament where
Uh-huh.
it could be 2v2, it could be 3v3, it could be 1v1,
Uh-huh.
it could be SA1 lock. It's just sort of like a tournament to sort of get the community involved, and we call that series the No Respect Tourney.
Uh-huh.
There's another series that runs on Wednesdays, which is the Ranbat that you spoke of, and that's called Wednesday Fightcade Rankings.
Uh-huh.
So I guess I'll shed a little bit of light on the Sunday tournament, and then I'll talk about the Wednesday ones.
Okay.
So there's a story. You kept mentioning the no respect. So this title, I guess it was, it was coined by Hirove, and
Mm-hmm.
the funny story about that was Kazi and I, like, we don't necessarily see eye to eye, like, with Hirove regarding certain rules. Like, his first tournament, it was called No Respect Number One because he allowed anyone to join. So not USA, not just Canada, not just Mexico, but everyone EU. It didn't matter if your ping was 400. It didn't matter if your ping was 1,000. Anyone could join. Anyone could play. And under his rules, like on the challenge it said hosted by Hirov, lag abuse encouraged. So like it was like
No holds barred.
no holds barred exactly. Like so I
Like no
was
pun intended, right? With a
yeah.
black horse.
So then I messaged Rob, I'm like, wait a second, so why are you allowing like lag? He's like, dude, this is gonna be no respect, it's all good. In fact, I encourage the lag. And if you watch like on his channel the old tournaments, like whenever somebody lagged, he would say, yes, I love this. Like so it was kinda like a anti
So
tournament.
when was the first one? When was just roughly? When was the first one
I would.
that
I mean, I
Hirov
don't have the exact date, but I would say maybe like a little bit more than a month ago, like maybe
Okay.
maybe a month and a half ago.
All right.
Um, yeah. So essentially, it sort of came from that, and like it wasn't only that; it was like lag allowed and encouraged, macros allowed, like everything that you would think
Yes.
that is like the scummiest thing to do in Third Strike. He said like allowed, 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 allowed,
Uh,
and like so it was called the no respect tourney. And to me, I mean, like personally for me, like I don't like that. I kind of like vanilla tournaments where like you have set rules you follow by. It's like best of three, 1v1. It doesn't need to be special. But Hirov really opened my eyes like later on because then the next week he did, okay, SA1 lock, and I felt like that sort of ideology, like it really adds like a bit of interest for a lot of people did join despite the fact that there are these rules. We've
yeah.
recently changed a lot of these rules now. So now, like obviously, we don't encourage lag abuse. We don't encourage the use of macros. We don't encourage any sort of like shenanigans, and we just want to play third strike in a regular way. But that's where the name no respect came from because you didn't have to respect your opponent.
Okay. This is the no respect tournament. This series it runs every Sunday. You said
That's correct. Yeah, every
every
Sunday.
Sunday around what time?
Uh, Usually 4:30.
Pacific.
Unless Pacific time, 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
And right now, it's running on my channel, twitch.tv/AC Slayer 3S.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe you can link it for me later on for the chat. But anyone can join as long as you're within USA, Canada, Mexico. Like, if more interest is shown from different regions, I don't mind hosting a tournament just for that. That's fine. But this usually there's like some sort of prize involved. Like last week we had, Steam games offered to the top three players, as well as like a small cash gift, PayPal gift, for the first place. So, and I do want to emphasize that we're not sponsored. Like none of this money comes from any like angel investor. Like this is just basically from my own pocket or from Hirov's pocket. Like Hirov paid out from his own from his own PayPal. I paid out from my own PayPal, and it just goes to show that like what we're really trying to do is create a community where people have a platform to feel like they're involved in some sort of tournament or something meaningful, something fun, even
Hmm.
And I'm not looking to get anything personally out of it other than the pure enjoyment of everyone having fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that was kind of my next question. I mean, like, why start this? Because
Oh,
I was for those of you who remember, I I had a very I had a short-lived run of Fight K Third Strike tournaments. It was actually Cammy's idea. Cammy Jun, who's in the chat, she came to me with this idea, like, hey, why don't you start a Third Strike online league, like, like Arcadium, like Sergey does with ST. And she was like, yeah, running a 5K tournament super easy and stuff like that. I had just finished my first season of the podcast, and I still kind of wanted to do something like low impact for the scene. And I thought, maybe I'd start doing 5K tournaments, but
yeah,
that
yeah,
for a lot of reasons that ended on my part.
right,
And then Sergey Arcadium decided to add Third Strike to the lineup about
right.
a couple months ago, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and so, my next question really was, why are you doing this? Like, what's kind of like the short-term goals? What's sort of are there any long-term goals?
Mhm.
in terms of and you said you wanted to give the Fightcade players sort
Mhm.
of you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't say that it's like purely
Uh,
altruistic. Obviously, I get, something out of it, right? Like
uh,
it's fun to host. It's fun to
mhm,
sort of be like an authority figure, like, and spearheading these tournaments and being helpful. I think
mhm,
that's cool. But I guess short-term goal wise, I just want people to have fun.
mhm,
I'm not doing it for money. I'm just doing it to create the platform for people to
mhm,
play with some structure. Okay, so there's another reason for you to get better. So maybe at the tournament you can win. You can win a prize. You can have your game streamed. Casted and commented by people like Kazi, I, or Harov. And people are trying. We got some pretty good players. Just yesterday when we were running the rankings, Bo Dallas had an amazing set versus Dylan and actually clipped it. He played really, really well. He was like option red parrying, doing great footsies with Dudley. Okay, he
mhm,
doesn't have footsies. He's only got punches. But my point is, he was playing super well, and you can just see people improve. And I really think that like just allowing people to have a reason to improve because of these tournaments or just
mhm,
to play. I feel like I'm better friends with a lot of the people that are part of the tournament than I ever imagined I would ever be. Like I used to never talk to some of these people, and I think we're a tighter, closer community because of the tournament.
mhm. Now, when you say the word community, you're
Hmm.
obviously if you're referring to the Fightcade Third Strike community. And
Hmm.
so, my next question is, um, because obviously your background, you came from the offline scene.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not really sure how to phrase this question, but you know, just the topic,
Hmm.
just the idea of playing Third Strike online, historically it has always created a bit of controversy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely.
there
Yeah.
are some players who who swear will never touch Third Strike on Fightcade or on any other online platform.
Hmm.
There are other players, like for example, Nika KO, Exodus,
Hmm.
Shotokan in the chat, yourself, who are able to kind of go back and forth
Yeah.
and can play both online and offline.
Okay.
And so I guess my question is, I mean, do you ever like? I'm trying to figure out
I
how to.
think you've given me enough to work with. I can
Yeah,
sort of
like
respond to
I'm
that.
trying to
Yeah.
figure out like, is there? Do you ever see these two scenes kind of
Okay.
sort of
So,
converging at some point,
okay,
or?
so there's so many facets to this topic.
Uh
I want to talk about Japan, and then I want to talk
huh.
about North America. So, in Japan, there's still offline third strike tournaments, and in fact, just a couple of days ago, I
Uh
saw on Nico Nico, um, Deshiken's team won another 3v3 tournament, and some of the videos are on there. If you search hard enough, you're gonna find them. And Ryan, right? Lead Blood Run.
huh.
He moved to Japan, teaches English there, plays at the arcade, and there's a good 6 to 7 arcades, like offline arcades, in Japan that are very active. There's always going to be, your influx of good players to choose from, and there's no need. There's almost like why play online? Like for good Japanese players, you could just play offline. That's fine. So I feel like in Japan, will there be a merging of these communities? I don't think so. I think the offline community will just always be there. You're going to see Co-op Cup next year because of that one guy who keeps it alive, the guy who's kept Co-op Cup alive so many years. It's the same guy doing it.
Well,
And
we're obviously talking about Matsuda-san,
Matsuda-san,
the
exactly.
guy who runs Game Newton in
Game
Oyama.
Newton, yep, the guy with the ponytail, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's keeping the scene alive as it could possibly be in Japan. So I feel like if you're talking about Japan, I don't think it necessarily applies to the experiences or the things that I'm contributing to. What I'm sort of doing is just helping just a little bit. I would say, I don't know, like just giving it a little push for the people who don't live in Japan, the people who don't have what the people in Japan have.
Uh-huh.
the people who live in, I don't know, let's say Arbser, Mark, this other, decently good online player. He uses Yun. He lives in Calgary. I was born in Calgary, and I can tell you, there's no arcade scene in Calgary. There's just not, So Fightcade is his only place. He doesn't have, great Japanese players to play offline. So you have to turn to Fightcade essentially. So in terms of answering your question, when you said there are people who won't change, I think the people who don't want to change, that have an alternative to Fightcade, will choose that. And for the people who don't have that alternative and won't change, they'll give up on Third Strike. They'll move on to 5. They'll move on to something else. Or maybe, 5 is primarily online too. There is no offline scene, but because online is the future, if you really think about fighting games, the way just the way trends are going with community behavior. Arcades are not like a pastime anymore for people to go to. It's not like, hey, what are you doing this Friday? Back in the day, I'd be like, yo, dude, I'm gonna go to Denjin Arcade. No, like you don't hear that anymore. It's I'm gonna go home, maybe check out Fightcade, maybe stream for a little bit. Hey, maybe there's a tournament AC Slayer's running called No Respect this Sunday. Maybe I'll practice that. So it's a niche sort of audience that I'm targeting. But essentially, I'm helping it. If I could do something to, even get new players to play Third Strike, that would be great. I don't think so. I think it's just going to be this pool of people who already love Third Strike. It's not going to be new people. It's going to be people who don't have an offline scene, and it's going to be for people who don't mind the drawbacks of online play.
Okay. Yeah, because that was kind of my next question. Do you think? Because it's kind of weird because you almost sort of contradicted yourself because you said you say like online is the future, but you don't really see what you're doing as like, or at least you don't really see what you're doing. Like the purpose of it is to attract new players, but but you could very well do that, right, with what you're doing, even though that's not like your intention, right? Like
okay, I think I'm just gonna correct myself. I see the contradiction there. Like what I meant was offline is the future for, I would say, the new Street Fighters, like Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6, whatever expansion they do, whatever DLC, whatever thing they do now is trending towards online for new Street Fighters. But I think Third Strike, it's hard to get new players there, especially for the. I guess it would be easier to get new players to play from online because it's impossible to play offline Third Strike. Yeah,
because they can just it's free, right? And they can it's free. They can download it, and as long as they they can and so I guess another question I have is like do you think that online Third Strike could be a road for future players to want to compete in offline Third Strike events? Like obviously the prime example is that's not even really a good example. Like it's very rare. I can't really. You could probably find a better example than I can, because the first example that I immediately thought of was Nika KO, right? But then, but he kind of. He was playing offline too while he was playing online. But like I'm just kind of thinking like a hypothetical, right? Like say I'm like Joe Schmo, somewhere somewhere in the country, obviously no arcades, no Third Strike scene, and but like for instance, this past Defend the North, there was a player. I don't know if you watched any of the tournament, but there was a fairly new player, someone that I had never met before. His name was Sage. And he seemed pretty young, in his early 20s, late teens. And I asked him, like, how did you start playing Third Strike? Because he mains Dudley and he was pretty good. And so he said, yeah, my first exposure to Third Strike was Third Strike Online on Xbox. And obviously, since he was at Defend the North, somehow that experience online encouraged him to go to an offline tournament.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, do you think Fightcade could be used as a way to not just introduce players to Third Strike, but as a way to kind of encourage them to generate more players for offline scenes?
Okay. Yeah. Because I've been talking a lot about how like the transition, the adjustment from offline to online, and the limitations of that. But so think about that in reverse, where people start out offline, and then
Yeah.
will they evolve and grow and potentially want to compete in the offline scene? I think there's definitely a possibility. Like you can definitely think of Fightcade as a vehicle for that transition.
Kind of like I don't know if you watch sports, right? But
Uh-huh.
like, baseball, they have these farm
Mhm.
systems, I guess.
Yeah,
Could Fightcade be a sort of farm system for future
okay.
Third Strike players? You know,
Definitely, I think okay, back to the whole thing that I'm running with
mm,
Hirov and Kazi. In terms of what we're doing, we're looking sort of like day by day right now. We're looking at the steps ahead of us. We haven't looked at like maybe the big picture. I think in the big picture, in the very, very long run, maybe what we do can actually do what you're talking about. In terms of what we're doing, we kind of we're not necessarily planning for that in terms of our goals. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Despite that ideal sort of thinking, if that makes any sense.
No, that totally makes sense, right? Because you got to have like short-term goals, as well, and you don't necessarily have to have long-term
Yeah.
goals, but
Yeah,
you know,
I want to say one more thing. It's about Yuki actually. Yuki's another really really good example because when I first met Yuki, now everybody
mhm,
knows he's an amazing third truck player. I met him on GGPO,
mhm,
and I think this was before he got super good, and we were playing, and I had a really good rapport with him. And all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, like I stopped playing third strike for a while. He started, he became a titan. He was so good, and everyone was talking about like, hey, do you know how good Yuki is? And eventually he actually played in Co-op Cup. I think 2016. He was on the second place team, losing the KO's team. Did you know that?
yeah, I watched it,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, wait. What am I talking about? Of course you would know that. Okay, but but my point is, I think Yuki is a good example of that as well too, because when you interviewed him, did he say he had an offline sort of like upbringing? Because I don't think so, right? Like I think he started from an online
Well, I
sort of
mean,
thing.
well, the thing with Yuki, the reason I don't really consider him as a pure online player turned offline player
Hmm.
is because his introduction to Street Fighter was offline.
Okay.
And, as much as Third Strike is very different from any other Street Fighter, like, I think that's right that you
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, as far as fundamentally, like, coming up in an old school Street Fighter scene is
Hmm.
definitely a benefit to developing a good Third Strike game. So that's why I don't really count Yuki, because he's played the other Street Fighters. His introduction to Street Fighter was offline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm really talking about like someone now, like someone
Hmm.
like half our age,
Yeah.
someone half
Yeah.
our age, and
Yeah.
it's like their first introduction is online Third Strike. Um, and is it possible for those players
Okay.
to,
Well, I'm
you
gonna
know,
say two. I got two interesting points to point out. Okay, so one is Shotokan mentioned Sandy Bags is a good example of someone getting good at 3S with no scene offline. Would you agree with
oh no,
that?
but he's originally an offline player though.
Exactly. Okay, so you can't include
So
him, but okay, let me talk about Huro because I know him. Okay, because I asked him, how did you get into Third Strike, and he
mhm,
said he played 2DF and Xbox. He's
okay.
never played at an arcade before, and I don't know if you've ever played against him, but he's a pretty good player,
Mhm.
right? So essentially, I said, how did this work? How did you get into it? Like, do you ever want to play, offline one day? According to him, he says like, if I can play with keyboard, I will. Did you know Hero plays the keyboard?
Yeah, I can hear him on his streams when
Yeah,
he's clickety clacking on the
exactly,
streams. Yeah.
exactly. See, it's I guess I hope you're not disappointed when I say this, but right now it's just really hard for me to see a lot of people making that transition, but I think
Hmm.
some people can, and you can definitely use Fightcade as a vehicle for that, I think.
Hmm. I guess because my concern is, you
Mhm.
know it's like it's hard to get new players. Like it's hard for that to happen when so many people trash Third Strike online. You know what I mean? Like it's like, does that make sense? Like, because
Yeah.
obviously there are a lot of people who think, oh, Third Strike's not the same online, not even the same game,
Yeah. I tend to
different
agree with that.
game, and it's like, and all that negativity, and and I'm just sort of concerned that And I'm just kind of concerned that all that negativity is going to sort of prevent players who are introduced to the game online to stay online. You know
Right,
what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with them staying online, obviously,
okay, I
because
gotta say this though.
every player is different, right? Not everyone has the ability to play offline. Not everyone has the means to go and you know go to these offline events and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
But
But
I want to say that like the negativity directed towards like online play from the offline community, I think is valid. So like
is valid or invalid?
I think
Valid.
is valid, very
Uh huh.
valid. And I think that like if that truthful, in my opinion, is truthful, and if that truthful criticism about online play, such as lag or the game runs like actually quicker, like it's been proven that the game runs quicker on the emulator itself. We're not even taking into account people playing each other like from East Coast and West Coast lag. I'm just talking about like the game emulated itself is not perfect. So I agree with all that. The alternative is to ignore that criticism and mask it, and so new players won't be turned off. No, like I rather new players know that online is online. It is different than offline, and they need to accept it. And if they do accept it, that's fine. And have if they find that they like the community, they like the things that we're doing, and they like the game, and they want to try offline and become really competitive. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with everybody. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's like a bottlenecking effect where only certain people will be filtered out in that category. Most people probably will just never. But I think overall, that criticism is fair. I actually, on the side of that, I do, I don't really like online third check. I've just gotten used to it. And I think that, hey, Fighters Destiny, how's it going? And I sort of just feel that it's better to be open about it than I'm okay with scaring away a new player and telling them the truth than sort of masking it and lying
Mm-hmm.
about it and then say like, oh no, there's nothing wrong. Like you have to tell the truth. You have to just say, you got to say like, hey, this isn't offline. Like go play at an arcade and then go play like for I don't know 3 months. Then play on Fight Game and you tell me if you notice a difference. I'm pretty sure they will, and I think they you can't hide that. So I'm okay with that.
That's interesting. No, no, I think that's a valid point you make. Another thing that I think about when it comes to playing online, I mean, even the different ways that you can play Third Strike, you could make the valid argument
Hmm.
that Third Strike is always different depending on the physical, the physical situation, right?
Yeah.
Like whether you're playing on an American cab, whether you're playing head to head, side by side, candy cab, the sticks, super gun, right? Like for example, 5 star, you know, he, he will he is the very definition of a purist, right?
Yeah.
He will only play on head to head cabinets,
Yes. That's right. That's
right?
right. That's right.
I'm pretty sure he even has I don't want to speak for him, but there
Yeah.
are even some players who won't even play on who will only play on certain Japanese cabinets. Like for
Yeah.
example, like for example, like a Versus City cabinet. I know players who hate playing on that because it's two machines, basically sandwiched together, and you can basically feel what the other player is doing on the other side.
Yeah.
They'd rather play on two separate cabs linked together with a versus harness. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like to them, that's like ultimate
Yeah.
prime
I
third
think it all
strike.
comes down to like what's available.
Yeah,
Like if your only option is what's in front of you, then you'll
yeah.
take it. Yeah.
You know.
Hmm.
So yeah. I mean,
I mean, I have
you
my
can
own
make the
preference as
argument
well
that
too.
yeah, you can make the argument
Yeah.
that any situation where you play third strike is always going to be different.
Yeah.
And
Do you know what my preference is honestly? Like okay, like my favorite third check experience would be at like like a showcase American styled cabinet where how it looks like it's like a big CRT in front of you,
yeah,
and then there's like a little space where you can put your bag, and
yeah,
then there's a stand, and then it's
yep.
basically next to that person. Those are my favorite, and I'll tell you why they're my favorite. Okay, I know you're right next to the guy. I mean, obviously maybe two back to back is fine, but I always felt that like um the way the stick is and the way you're moving it, it's more sturdy on that stand than it is on a cabinet for some reason. I feel that way. Um, and the height is like perfect for me, and I grew up basically playing like that, because that's how it was at UCLA. So
Yeah.
everyone's got their own opinion. I mean, that doesn't mean I can't play on other styles.
Uh-huh.
Hell, I played on a ton of Japanese cabs before too. But everyone's picky, you know.
Yeah. It's so one could make an argument like every different situation where you play Third Strike leads to a different experience and could therefore be argued that it's a different game.
Yeah.
Because like there's just so much there's so much of the cerebral part of playing, just not just Third Strike, but obviously fighting games in general. And so I think this is a good time to sort of take a break, our final break.
Yeah.
But when we come back on the stream, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the future of the online scene for
Sure.
Third Strike. Um, talk a little bit about some of AC Slayers. I know he already went through some of these things, but some of the pros and cons. Some of the I do want to ask you some of your pet peeves
Yeah.
in terms
For sure.
of
For
playing
sure. Sure.
just
Yeah.
playing online and yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about that. But before that, let's go take our final break, and we'll be back. So stick around, guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Mutant Experience podcast number 12. Tonight, I have Fight Kate Third Strike player extraordinaire AC Slayer. And so, one of the things that we forgot to mention, AC, is that in addition to your No Respect tournament series, which runs on Sunday nights, I guess, for people on the East Coast, Sunday afternoons for people on the West Coast. But you also run Ranbats as well, right? On
That's
Wednesday.
right.
Tell us
Yeah,
a
all
little bit
ones.
about those Ranbats.
Okay, well the Rambats are ran differently. There's no prize, just like how you would expect the prizes on Sunday. It's more like just a very, how would say, impromptu. Whoever's online,
Mhm.
um, who's willing to play, anybody can join. You don't have to previously join previous Rambats. If you're online, send a message either to the Fightcade lobby or to the stream chat, and I'll put you on a text file or something, and basically I'll just announce the games. Okay, so it's okay. Who's next? Big Dan versus Netro. Okay, you guys go, and then they'll play, and essentially we're using the pseudo modified Danison sort of like ladder ranking system where if you win 3 games in a row, you get +3, which allows you to move up a rank. And if you lose 3 games, you go down a rank. And it's really just, it's very casual fun. And even though it is a Ranbat technically, right? But it allows, different people to get involved. And maybe they don't want to play a super serious tournament where, there's a prize involved and, it's going to be very serious. It's just, anyone who wants to play, who kind of wants to be, streamed and recorded, and you can use multiple characters. So let's just say you are a Makoto player, but you also use Necro. You can enter twice, and the more characters you enter, you always start at the same ranking, and you're going to get in a ton of games. It's not like in a tournament where it's one and done. So it's definitely a different experience, and we ran one yesterday, and it was very successful. And yeah.
Did you run the first Ranbat was yesterday, or no? You've been doing this for a few months, or
No, we've been doing, I would say, like 4 of these. Like, yeah, I think we started almost a month ago, and every single time it's been going well. Like, I mean, we're talking about like middle of the week, at like any time between 4 p.m. Pacific to 9 p.m. Pacific. So it's kind of like an awkward time where people are either just getting off work or maybe they don't want to, like it's just an awkward time. But we've been getting pretty good success with people participating. So
So if there's anyone who wants to enter, well, first of all, the Sunday tournament. How do people enter the Sunday tournament? Do they go
Okay.
on the Fightcade lobby, or what do they do? Do they sign
Okay.
up somewhere?
Yeah, very good. Okay, so if you go into the Fight Kit lobby, the Sunday tournaments are always going to be advertised by like a 24/7 bot by the name of Big Dan Bot, and every 5 to 10 minutes it will spam a link saying, "Here, click here to sign up for the Sunday tournament." That same bot is also programmed to spam basically an advertisement for the Wednesday Rambats as well.
Okay.
So as long as you're on Fightcade and you're sort of paying attention to the lobby, you're going to get that. If not, you can always go to twitch.tv/ACSlayer3S, and you're going to eventually either find a link to it. You can go to the Third Strike Discord, which is open to the public. I usually post there as well. So yeah, there are ways to find out about it.
Great. And how about the Ranbats on Wednesday? When is how can people sign up for that? Just
the exact same way. Yeah, the exact same way. Like the bot basically spams both. Essentially, you're going to be able to find both. Yeah.
And so yeah, you heard it here, guys. For those of you who are playing, who are interested in trying Third Strike, or trying Fightcade, or people who already play Fightcade Third Strike, give it a go. You got really nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Wednesday Ranbats, and Sunday No Respect tournaments.
Yeah.
Now the No Respect tournaments, are they still themed, or no? They're basically just straight tournaments now.
Okay, no. It's I think it's different every week, and we discuss it.
That's
like
cool.
for instance, I remember one of the guys.
So what are you doing this week then?
This
what are we
week,
doing?
I believe we're doing something called the Dungeon series, where we pick. Okay, so essentially what happens is we pick 2 team captains
Okay.
randomly, and those team captains kind of like think back. I don't know when you guys used to play whatever game like baseball, volleyball, whatever in school. Okay. So I pick John and I pick Jimmy. Eventually, two team captains pick their players that are in the lobby, and essentially they get to choose them fighting each other. The loser essentially goes to the Harove dungeon, and we actually have like a cool picture.
There's a Harove dungeon. That
There's
sounds
a Harove
scary.
dungeon.
Like,
It's a very scary place, and
I don't think I'd
it's
wanna go
undergone.
there.
Exactly. And the condition is, if you want to get your ally out of the Harove dungeon, you got to get a perfect. So if you
What?
want to save that guy, if you get a perfect,
There's no way then.
yeah, you can resurrect one person out of the Harove dungeon. Okay.
How difficult it is to get a perfect on Fightcade.
It is, but every single time we've ran the dungeon series, there's been multiple people coming in and out of the dungeon.
Oh,
Okay, and then the tournament ends when obviously last man standing, and then the team captains play against each other at the end, essentially.
That's sick. That's sick.
Yeah.
So,
it's fun.
so is there like a place where viewers can kind of like see descriptions of these different themes, or is that still a work in progress? I think that would be cool.
It's still a work in progress, but yeah, that's definitely a great idea. I'll take a look into that.
That's awesome. That Harove's dungeon.
Yeah.
The Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, great. So, I want to kind of take this opportunity, AC Slayer, for you to just, I know we already talked about a little bit about, potential future Third Strike players. But, obviously you're someone who has both offline and online experience. You've made the transition. You're familiar with both ways to play. You're highly knowledgeable about the scene. What general advice, do you have for new players? Someone who, is just kind of starting out, and playing Third Strike. I mean, what do you think are some of the important things that you would say to them when it comes to the Third Strike scene?
Your question is directed at me so that I could give them advice to become a better player, or
just
advice...
in general, like just in terms of learning the game. Yeah, I guess better player, right? Like just learning the game. And,
okay, all right. Okay, so if there is no offline scene and it's not popping offline, so your only options are Xbox Live, Fightcade. I don't know if there's any other. PSN. Okay, so pick one. I suggest Fightcade. It's free, and you don't need to buy those consoles as long as you have PC. The advice I would give them is, okay, go on Fightcade. Give Third Strike a shot. Pick a character, any character you want, and just learn the basics of what Street Fighter is about, and then don't be overly obsessed with learning Third Strike specific mechanics such as parrying, specific option selects such as SGGK. Don't worry about all those crazy things. Just play for fun. See how it goes, and then when you decide that this is something that you really want to get into, then consider playing good players. Consider seeking out a coach. This is particularly applicable to me because I've actually taken some people under my wing on Fightcade. Like I've met some people who just started out not knowing what they're doing, and a couple years later, actually training with them, they're very good. One such example is someone named M. And when I first met him, he was like an oral player. He wasn't very confident, and he didn't really know what to do. I sort of said, hey, I played him, and I think I beat him 30-0, and he was very discouraged. He was like, no, I'm hopeless. And I said to him, no one's hopeless. I said, don't ever say that. Let me help you. Let me coach you. So he said, sure. I got him to download Skype, and we started going over fundamentals. Okay, yeah, so he's in the chat, Jim Corcoran right there. He's probably he's actually listening to this. That's what a coincidence. But basically, a year and a half later, he is now, I consider, like a very solid player for someone who's played for only a year and a half, and he doesn't have that offline experience that I had. Like he wishes. He tells me all the time. But if you actually take a look at some of his games, he even played in the Rambat yesterday. He's a decent player now, and so that's the advice I would give to any player. Give Third Strike a try. If you like it, find someone who's good and keep playing. You'll eventually get better if you try.
That's you're a natural at this podcast stuff, AC, because that's a great segue to one of the questions that I think
Okay.
Shotokan had earlier in the chat, because you were saying that new players should seek out coaches or
Yes.
mentors,
Yeah.
um, and so in your estimation,
Mhm.
you know, what do you think? I think Colin's specific question was, what are the five best players
Mhm.
on Fightcade?
Okay.
Now I don't know if Colin means people who play primarily or predominantly or exclusively on Fightcade. Can this list include offline people who play offline as well? So you may want to clarify that, Colin. But let's I guess let's just start with players that don't normally play offline. Who would be
Okay.
the five Fightcade players that you
Okay.
think are ones to
I mean,
watch?
honestly, if you ask this question to like, I don't know, 20 different people, you're probably gonna get 20 different answers. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like this is very opinion based.
Uh-huh.
So purely based off of what I deem to be like the top players on
Uh-huh.
Fightcade, I would say Exo is definitely one of them, and not in order. Like Exo, I mean, he's an offline and online player, but I'm including him because he's on Fightcade. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Exodus third, look out for him. He's probably one of the best Dudley players out there. A whole. He can use the entire cast. He's really, really good. I'm sure you played him, right, man?
Yeah, many
Yeah,
times.
exactly. Exo is. He probably has like the
He's the
biggest.
original Titan.
Yeah. If yeah, he coined that term. He coined
The
the term
OG
Titan.
Titan. OG
Yeah, the OG
Titan.
Titan.
Right.
Yeah, thing with Exodus is that like he I'm gonna copy what Yi said or Five Star. He said that in Third Strike there's a quality that he likes to attribute. It's called heart. I don't know if he's ever told you about this before, but heart is essentially like okay. So in Third Strike you have different things that you can get good at, such as execution,
Uh-huh.
parrying, mind games, mix up, ability to condition your opponent, your adaptability, a lot of things. But Five Star likes to basically use a term called heart, and heart describes how your willingness to not die is
Your
basically
will
your
to
heart.
win. Your
Your
will to
will to
win.
win, exactly. And Exo has one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. Like I feel like whenever I'm playing Exo, I'm gonna win. He's a chip away from death. He activates like crazy Super Saiyan mode, like I didn't know that existed again, and I can't hit him no matter what. I feel like it's he turned on God mode. I don't know. Like Exo is really really good at being able to change the tempo and not die. So I'd say Exo is definitely in my top five. Okay, another player. I mean, I don't want to include him, but I have to. I think Nika KO. I mean, he's offline and online, but obviously Nika is. I mean, the amount of work he's contributed to the Third Strike community in general, like doing the coverages of all the different character specific things in Third Strike. Like go to his YouTube channel, check it out. If you're a new player, check out Nika KO's channel. He's done tutorials on all sorts of things. So Nika KO for sure. I'd say he's got the best Yang. Definitely on Fightcade. What do you think?
Yeah. I think best Yang outside of Japan.
Yep, best Yang outside of Japan. Another name to look up for is Veilside LGD. He used to go by the name of Tenran12 back on GGPO. Here's the funny thing about Tenran is that like he used to go to the UCLA arcade that I spoke of, Xscape. And I remember there was one time, I think it was in 2009, I saw him at the Sunroute Cup, and he showed up there. He also showed, where else did he show up? He teamed with, I think Five Star and MOV were his 3v3 teammates. So Tenran's like an offline player too. But I think his Ibuki online is near, like I mean it's near perfect if you ask me. I mean I don't think it's as good like offline. I've seen his offline play. He's still a really good player, but online his Ibuki is untouchable, I would say. Have you played Veilside before?
Yeah, I played Tenran before, but on
Tenran.
Xbox Live.
On Xbox Live, okay, I see. One more thing about Veilside is like he recently switched to Ken, like as an alt, and his Ken is also really good. So I'll say that. I mean, I don't think I can count this player, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Yuki. I mean, can I put Yuki on this list? Is it fair? Because he's an offline
It's
player,
your
right?
list.
Yeah, but okay, he plays Xbox Live primarily, and he used to play on Fightcade. Okay, so I'm just gonna say Yuki with a maybe because I feel like he's basically offline player, so can't really put him there. Cruz is another player you want to look out for. Urian, very very strong. Um, yeah, I'd say Cruz is there. Notable like
Honorable mentions.
honorable mentions. I gotta say, I'd say Metric.
Uh-huh.
Metric's, I mean, he's an offline player too. I played with him in FFA. It's so I don't know if it's fair to put Metric there because he plays offline. Oh my god! But you see him online all the time too.
Uh-huh.
Um, and who else I would say belongs up here? Um, maybe Kenneron Hugo,
Uh-huh.
probably one of the top Hugo players. Yeah, those are the guys I would say like maybe top five, top six people that you should look out for online if you want to get a good game or direction. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe I don't want to say a better question, but a slightly different question is, what do you who since you did bring up the that thing about being a coach and stuff,
Oh
which
yeah.
I think is an awesome idea.
Hmm.
Seeking out mentors.
Hmm.
Maybe another question you could answer is, who do you see as the five most promising Fightcade Third Strike prospects? Like
Wow.
players that you see have a great deal of potential. That aren't quite obviously on the level of the players that you mentioned,
Mm.
but definitely have the potential and the ability to, maybe one day reach that level. I mean, who are some of the
Okay.
Fightcade players that
Okay. This is a really tough one because I haven't previously given thought to this. For Shotokan's question, I did think about that.
Mhm.
For this one, I guess on the fly answer.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm not gonna say all five. I'm just gonna say at least I know for sure one. I think Bo Dallas
Mhm.
is a player who has the most potential to become, I think, an elite player.
Mhm.
In my books, he understands how to play a very solid footsie game. I would say he's like a low risk sort of player, but he knows how to take advantage of the situation when he does take a risk.
Mhm.
He's extremely solid. So I think Bo Dallas is someone who I feel has the potential to become really really good if he continues working at it. Um, who else online? Wuzik is a Ken that I feel like if he tried harder, he could become really really good. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a lot of great online players too that I'm probably like missing. I mean, uh, I think Colin. I mean, I feel like Colin doesn't care to get super good. Whenever I talk to him, I feel like he kind of like doesn't really give a shit. But Shotokan, yeah, he could get to the next level for sure.
Did you see Colin at TFC? AC Slayer. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Art, but we got
Right,
to be real here. I'm
right,
gonna steal a line from Stephen A. Smith.
right.
Don't be disrespectful. Have you seen? Did you see Colin what he did last year at TFC? It was sick. I
Yeah,
mean, the things he was doing.
yeah.
Oh my god. To this day, I still watch Colin. I still watch Colin's matches at TFC. Almost every other day, I watch Colin's TFC match.
Right, right. I gotta
It
go
was
look it
like
up again. It was
it
amazing.
was the sickest. Just I don't know.
Well, here's the thing because I remember
Because
Colin back.
Colin sure as hell cared that day or
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
weekend.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that's why I said when he cares, he's an
Woo,
amazing player.
man.
It's just that like I remember Colin back a long time ago. He used to post YouTube videos on like not how to do it, but he would just showcase his like Yun combo videos. I'm not sure if you ever seen them, but he was one of the first people I saw like do multiple Kara palms, online and also keeper Jin. So I remember, yeah, definitely Shotokan has that up his sleeve.
Dude,
So
I have this specific clip.
okay,
Okay, you're godlike when you lost the match, but I don't even remember who beat you.
okay,
Oh, Lance beat you. Okay. There's a specific clip, and I just gotta show it. I'm sorry,
sure.
but I just gotta show
No,
it,
I want to see it. Go, go, go.
and it is just amazing. Oh my god! Like I gotta show it
Okay.
on the fly. I'm not even gonna use OBS Studio mode, just because it's this sick. So let me see where I find it. All right. Next one is 5-hour video. I
Okay.
gotta find the right place for it. Uh, this match. I mean, shout outs to Lance. He won this match,
Mm.
but I don't. That's not what I remember from this match.
Right.
So here, this round. This is by far my favorite round of the entire TFC 2016.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, I got it.
You got to put this on full screen.
Yeah, I got it. Hold on, let me set this here. Sorry, guys. Try to do this on the fly here. But this is by far my favorite moment at TFC. It sort of encapsulates everything I love about Third Strike, and I'm sure it encapsulates what you love about Third Strike as well. Let's see if I can. Is Logasova still up? Right, that's great. All right, so basically, just some for those of you who don't for those of you who've never seen this. So basically, on the second day of last year's TFC. By the way, TFC, make sure you go this year. It's gonna be sick. Japanese players, a lot of people are going. So last year at TFC, on day 2, there was a 3v3 tournament, and it was run in a sort of Japanese style where there's playoffs, and so Colin ended up having to play a playoff with Lance, and so this is we're just gonna go ahead and join the match in progress. So basically, Lance wins the first round. And I don't know if you remember this match, AC, but you're a Yun player, right? I mean, you play
Yes.
Yun.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get your thoughts on this here. This is just so sick. And look at the reaction when this happens. Well, you'll know. I don't know if you remember this round, but this is by far my favorite moment of TFC.
Not backing down. Lance holding his ground. Colin finding a way to get in and build meters.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't on purpose.
I think Lance did that on purpose.
So clearly Lance has a Colin on the ropes, but he's not finishing his plate.
How's Colin gonna come back? Oh, see, always knows a way to come back. Taipon loop. Oh, still did a ton of damage. Wow, on low forward.
Oh my
Wait
God.
for it. Oh my god! So sick!
Oh my god, dude. That palm.
Yo!
I mean, it's like,
Oh my God.
I didn't even know that
See,
stuff's
I'm the
EX
guy
spinning
on the
bird
right.
kick.
If you see on the upper right hand side,
Yeah.
I jumped out of my seat and I ran circles around the room when this happened.
Right. What a comeback. HP loop. Yeah.
And then just the read, right?
Yeah, just the read. Yeah. The palm beating the EX spinning bird.
So sick.
Yeah. Good choice. Good choice. I mean, the thing is, like,
Shout out to Colin.
he had to do that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's to go on the record. That's my favorite Third Strike moment at TFC.
So you watch it every morning, essentially?
I every other day. I don't think there's every other day I watch that clip.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling down, when I wake up in the morning and I need motivation to kind of get up,
Yeah.
and go on with my day, I watch Colin's performance at TFC, and that gets me right up.
Right.
In terms of, he didn't win the match. That's the thing. He lost. Lance beat him. But,
Yeah.
it's see, that's heart, right?
It is.
That
That's
round
hard. Yeah.
was the very definition. Oh,
A heart.
yo, Colin with the shots. He said, but I got top 8 in singles. Let's go. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You tell him, Colin. You tell him. Anyway, I may have to have Colin on a podcast. Oh, easy.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. So, before we get out of here,
Yeah.
sorry to hijack the podcast.
Oh. That's cool.
That's kind of what happens on the Mutant XPerience.
Yeah.
But so before we get out of here, AC, I wanted to just kind of ask what the future holds in store for you as a player, in terms of you as a member of the Third Strike community. I mean, what are some of the things that we can expect from you in
Okay.
the future, or some of the things that you'd like to do or accomplish?
Right. Okay. So you can expect me to eventually finish that Yen tutorial that I made
Okay.
many years ago that I
Uh-huh.
left incomplete just due to time restrictions, but now I will finish that. You can expect
Yeah, he's here on the
2 tournaments a week, essentially the Rambats and also
Nice.
tournaments on Sundays on Fightcade. You can expect that. You can expect an offline appearance from me. I will eventually make it to one of the TFCs. I'm hoping the one next year. The one this year, it's kind of up in the air for me right now. I don't plan on going, but there's still time. You know, I have friends that are going, so I might show up to that. So you'll expect to see me still part of the Third Strike community. So yeah.
Are we gonna maybe see you at Co-op Cup sometimes?
Wow, Co-op Cup. Yeah, that's right. That's in January. I'm gonna say no for now. Not this year. No.
Okay.
Mhm.
But maybe in the future
Yep, I'm not against it.
you can amass your Fightcade 3S army. And,
That's right. That's right. This is gonna be the
That would be
online
so sick.
Fightcade team. Yeah.
I would
yeah.
love to see that in the Co-op Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys could be like Team Justin Bieber or something that you can.
Yeah, exactly. We'll hopefully we'll be able to win one game. I'm kidding. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So what's next?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I almost forgot. So you know, obviously the Mutant XPerience, and I don't know if Kazi's on the stream. I don't know. Is he gonna miss? You gonna miss this edition of Pack It Up?
I think.
see Kazi
I don't see him here.
Okay, so well. Anyway, obviously, it's we're coming towards the end of the episode, and so everyone knows what that means. Yes, Fighter's Destiny. Don't worry, it's time for another edition of Pack It Up. So for those of you who are watching the stream for the first time, basically what I do is every week I scour the internet for examples of what not to do in Third Strike. And I picked the 5 best nominees, and I ask you guys to pick and tweet me and tell me what your favorites are. And so, are you ready, AC, to see who made the cut this week?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Pack It Up?
Yep.
All right, so let's get right into it. So without further ado, guys, here's this week's edition of Pack It Up. All right, so this first clip actually, AC, is from one of your No Respect tournaments.
All right.
So quick, you're full screen away and have no life, and your opponent has enough meter to chip you out with super. So what do?
You should duck here.
Well, that's
That's
not
what
what
I'm
this player did.
That's
And
yeah,
so-
that's actually Dylan versus Big Dan. I remember this
Yeah.
match. We're all screaming, duck, duck, duck.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have dashed it in the first place.
Yeah.
But anyway, so nominee number 2, they say that Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so if that's the case, then someone needs to lock this 10 player up and throw away the key.
Yeah, what is that, like 3 Hadokens in a row with
Yes.
3 fourth?
So nominee number 3, this is a prime example of when feeling yourself goes wrong. Watch this Ryu player land the wake up Shinsho, only for his opponent to return the favor.
He tried jumping out of the way though.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, he tried jumping away, but that's what makes it funny. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
SA3
If it was
just
SA,
completely.
if it was SA1, he would have got away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Nominee number 4. I really want to get your thoughts on this, AC. So one of 2 things might have happened here. Either the purple Urian player mistimed his jump, or he forgot which reflector was his. Either way, he deserves to be on Pack It Up.
Yeah,
That's what you call the first ever Pack It Up option select.
yeah. I swear to God, like I got confused which mirror it is. Okay, yeah, so his is the one behind. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta do that.
Nominee number 5. You know how some little leagues like that giving the losing team participation awards? Well, that stuff doesn't fly on the Mutant XPerience. Watch this Dudley player gets launched after failing to parry the last hit of Yun's SA1. You can even see his sprite. Watch.
Yeah,
it.
yeah. You can see him. You can see him move forward, like right now. Yeah.
No, it's super stuck.
Oh yeah, it's still going.
Right here. Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, he missed it.
So
Yeah.
tweet us your favorite 1 through 5. Let us know what you think, who you think should win this week's edition of Pack It Up. What do you think, AC?
I'd say
What do you think?
clip number 2 for me.
Oh, clip number 2, the
Insanity.
the insanity.
Yeah, the insanity. The Makoto.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cycles.
If
Cycles
3
Steve
low
Flex
forwards
number 2.
win, in a situation where Ken does 3 fireballs, I think he's tried to do Shoryuken, but mis-executed it identically 3 times in a row.
Number 4 to me is really funny. Because
Oh,
Netro, actually that Ryu, that's for those of you who don't know, those are clips from Ryu's ending from Second Impact. That's what's on the intro for Pack It Up. That's those are clips from Ryu.
Oh,
New
yeah.
Gen / Second Impact ending.
I see. And I guess that credit, I guess, goes to Capcom, though, right? Like,
We never give Capcom credits, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The square peg in the circle hole number 2. That's pretty funny.
Right.
All right. So, before we get out of here, is there anything that you wanted to, say before we shut down the stream, AC?
Well, rather than just repeating myself and telling everybody to, join the tournaments,
Yes.
thanks for watching, and thank you, Mutant, for having me as a guest. A couple shout-outs I want to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Shout out to Clayton, Paul, Max, Chip Douglas. I know you're married with kids now, but if you somehow come across this video, I still remember you. Hope you're still playing Third Strike. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, great. So remember, guys, to check out AC Slayer's Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/AC Slayer 3S. Remember that he runs 2 different events every week. On Wednesdays, he runs the Fightcade Ranbats. Just log into the Fightcade lobby, and they'll give you the directions on how to join that. And then on Sunday, along with Harov and Kazi, AC Slayer hosts a tournament series called No Respect. And every Sunday there's a different theme. And this Sunday is going to be the Dungeon of Harov.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Generals.
So I'm sure AC will write up a short description of that sometime soon, and you guys can check that out. In the meantime, Dizzy has one question: Is AC going to TFC?
Right now, there are no plans to go to TFC.
Oh, okay. All right. So, before we get out of here, I just wanted to let everyone know that you've been watching the Mutant XPerience podcast. If you guys know of any guests that you'd like to see on the podcast, please tweet me or shoot me an email or message me. If you'd like to be on the Mutant XPerience, let me know. I'll be, obviously I'll be glad to have you, as long as you're doing something for the Third Strike scene, or you're part of the Third Strike scene.
Right.
So definitely tweet me. Just real quick, some events that are coming up tomorrow. Summer Jam in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Brand new venue for Big E's Summer Jam. Tony Majors is bringing his arcade, his traveling arcade, there tomorrow. And the best part is the cabs will be positioned in a place where they'll be accessible all weekend long. You heard it right, 24/7 arcade at Summer Jam. So for those of you who are interested in playing some arcade perfect Third Strike and not have to be restricted to time restraints. I know most Third Strike players, they like playing like in the middle of the night anyway, right? Like, how cool would that be, AC? Like, you just like kind of like wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep. Oh, I'll just come downstairs and
Okay, so
get on my
I
head-to-head cab.
I actually have an interesting story about that. Like, during finals week at UCLA, they would open the arcade 24 hours. So
I heard about that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So while everyone's studying for finals, like the arcade's open on free play. You basically pay a $5 entry fee, and you can play 24 hours for the entire finals week. So that's what me and my friend did, David Hamdani. Like, we would basically, I can't wait till finals week so we can play Third Strike for 24 hours straight. Yeah, so there's that.
So definitely for those of you who are considering, there's a tournament as well, obviously. The schedule is up. Check on Facebook. But the schedule is up. I think, I'm not really sure who's going to be streaming the Third Strike tournament. It might be Atari FGC, who's part of the ST community. But yeah, 24/7 access to Arcade Third Strike. So definitely consider making it out this weekend to Cherry Hill for Summer Jam. Another event that's coming up that I believe, I might be mistaken, but I think the arcade room might be 24/7 as well, and that's East Coast Throwdown. That's going to happen on September 2nd, Fairfield, New Jersey. Um, the Third Strike link for Smash GG, just went up a few months ago. So, if you want to, that's another opportunity. If you can't make Summer Jam, you have a second opportunity to play some arcade Third Strike at ECT, obviously run by longtime Third Strike player from New York, Li Joe. So definitely consider making it out to that. And then I guess the big one, right? The doozy, TFC. That's happening on September 29th to October 1st. Raleigh, North Carolina. I would use Kang's posters, Exo's posters, but they're a different aspect ratio, and it's really annoying. So I'm just gonna use this poster. So
Right.
yeah, September 29th to October 1st. There's really not a whole lot to say about TFC. All the great players are going to be there, and including some Japanese players, Issei, Kokujin, KO, Yakun, international European players like Niabon from France. Hopefully, the roll call of who goes to TFC grows. Obviously, last year's TFC was a special event, and there's no reason to believe that this year's TFC is going to be any different.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely make plans to check it out if you want to be part of this amazing community. Some shout outs. I know these guys haven't streamed in a long time, but I just keep the ad because I just want to make sure that the SoCal Third Strike scene gets some love. Obviously, me and AC Slayer are from there, right? Sort of, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
So we have some deep ties to that scene, and hopefully they keep playing. So it's been a while since we've seen a stream from the Boiler Room, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Really long time. I wonder when they're gonna start streaming from Dawn's. I wonder if that's even possible. Anyway, also guys, every other Thursday, another scene that's keeping Third Strike alive is Lost Ark video games in North Carolina. And so every other Thursday, Lost Ark hosts Third Strike Thursdays. And basically it's just, kind of an event, to kind of help, grow the scene for the game. And so definitely check that out. They stream as well. I don't know the stream channel ahead of time. It's like some long ass name, like Lost_Arks_video games, Twitch.tv or something like that. So I'm sure if you Google it, everyone knows how to use Google. You can figure it out. And then last but not least, shout outs to the UK Third Strike scene who play at Violent City, over in the London area, in the West London area. Gutter Trash is a new edition of Gutter Trash is set to go down in October. I think a couple weeks after TFC. So more information about that event is coming. So once again, guys, you've been watching the Mutant XPerience. Thanks again to my guest tonight, AC Slayer. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming in.
No problem.
And helping out. For those of you who are wondering who's the guest next week, it's quite a doozy because next Thursday, same time, 9 p.m. My guest is scheduled to be a player that you're probably very familiar with, AC Slayer,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the infamous Denges.
Wow.
He
Yes,
will be
I'm
my
very
guest
familiar with him. That's
next
great.
Thursday,
Okay.
same time, 9 p.m. And
I'll be sure
that
to
will
tune
be,
into that.
yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
quite the explosive episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely tune in for that. And then the week after that, we'll have Oni Musa from the Abu Dhabi, Dubai Third Strike scene.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. Wow, that was a that was a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, thank
So
you for having me, Mutant. I
yeah,
really
man.
appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank you.
thanks again for coming out, AC Slayer. I appreciate everything you're doing for Third Strike. Um, I hope more people join. Your Wednesday and Sunday tournaments. So once again, guys, this is the Mutant XPerience podcast, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys.